All right, guys. Taylor Swift's Karma video. This thing is so crazy that I had to bring in the experts on. I got my boy Keep Calm Calvin, and
What
I know
up?
it. And I know at some point I'm gonna have to ask him to say stop listening to her. But not but not yet. And then I also got Bryan Demon Erasers, but he's busy the second, so he might hop on and join us. But without further ado, we're gonna just get right into this thing. I saw this from on Instagram. Somebody, one of my friends, doing the breakdown, and I was just like, "Oh my gosh, we have to talk about this video." Calvin, first of all, just give first opening thoughts on what did you think about this video?
I think the video is very subtle on the what it's trying to tell you, but the meaning after the storyline of the video is complete is extremely deep, and it correlates with a lot of other musicians and what they're doing in the current space.
Well, you're right. You could say it's it's subtle. It's not subtle that obviously it's trying to show something, but the message is probably is more subtle because it's like because I think you're taken back by like how many occult little images they show, but at the same time, it's like I think that's probably where I started to actually really think about it. Like, okay,
Yeah.
so I know it's saying something, but what is it saying? I think that might be the level where a lot of people might struggle of like what is this video actually about though? Because I know it's not of God, but but
Right.
but what is it trying to say?
I think the overall message is going to be focused around duality. And just I'm gonna, if you don't mind, I'm gonna read this to the audience, and then I want them to use the definition to watch the video.
Absolutely,
Um,
absolutely.
so as we already know, the title of the video is called Karma, and if anyone understands what karma is, it's Satan's answer to what God says in the book of Galatians, where He says, "Be not deceived; God is not mocked. Whatsoever man soweth, that shall he also reap." And so, duality teaches us that every aspect of life is created from a balanced interaction of opposite and competing forces. Yet these forces are not just opposites; they are complementary. They do not cancel out each other. They merely balance each other out like the wings of a bird. This is
Mm,
false. But
mm.
you'll see this information throughout the video, as my brother already understands it, as above, so below. And you'll
Mm.
again, you're going to see this throughout the video.
Okay, and so what we're gonna do here is because we would get copyright striked if we just showed the video. So if you guys have not seen the video, I mean, you guys probably have seen it if you're watching this. Check the video out. We're just gonna kind of go frame by frame over this thing. But the video starts off, obviously, the Midnights is Taylor Swift's new album, and as it comes onto the record player, people still use these things. I don't know. I think hipsters do. Most
Right.
people don't. But anyways, so uh, all of a sudden we get this swirl. Calvin, what is this? What is the swirl we're seeing here?
This is going to be speculation on my part, but because I've seen it in a lot of other music videos and genres across the music industry space, I believe this is just showing that the music that she's putting out is going to mesmerize, hypnotize people when they listen to it. You can also see this posted a video called by Fetty Wap, where the child is asleep. The radio is an alarm, and then when he hits the hammer with the radio, then these spirits, like not just one spirit, like in the old cartoons where they get hit and then the soul comes out of the.
Right, right, yeah.
Right. Well, in this one, there was multiple spirits coming out of it, and so again, I see you'll see this correlation across the board in the music industry. In the music industry, correlation doesn't always mean causation, but I would speculate that this right here is magic coming out of her music, hypnotizing the listener.
Right. It's like so what I was seeing was like for when I see like a I was seeing the swirl, and which is interesting if you look at the old what is it, the pictographs or whatever, the rock for petroglyphs that like even the ancient Anasazi, which means ancient ones, ancient Native Americans, they drew these swirls on the rocks. You
Right.
know, so like some kind of a definition of what you might imagine, either magic portal, maybe both, but also it's hard to see in this image we got up on the screen right now. But what it's actually showing too is there was butterflies. And so
Mm,
if you're aware of like in the MK Ultra, the Project Monarch, it's like you really think
hmm.
about like it's the idea of the metamorphosis between like the caterpillar and the butterfly, where it's like
Right.
literally they're transforming. Maybe obviously Taylor Swift seems like she's been transformed. And also, is this trying to get us to transform as we're watching this?
And you'll see what JT is saying. You're gonna see this actually flooded throughout the music video. This metamorphosis, this change, this elevation. You're gonna see it. It's undeniable. And again, I think that that's what's happening here in this specific clip.
Okay, and I'm gonna click a couple of frames and we'll probably stop. But you see, like, so now it's turning into a light, and obviously at
Hmm.
this point I thought that kind of looks like an eye. I'm
It
kind
does.
of it's kind of looking like an eye, and then you see it's transforming, and you see this archway, and
Yep.
this, and then of course then you see this image of her as this goddess. And so what I'm seeing, we go back to the arch. I think that this is like symbolic of obviously you have the pillars, you have the woman in the middle, you have like a classic Freemasonry image where it's like you have the two pillars, you have the archway symbolizing kind of like a doorway, a portal with the light
Right.
on the top, and obviously you can tell us a little bit more about what she's trying to represent with the scales.
Right. Again, this is that duality I was speaking of, where you'll see a balance between good and evil. You'll hear it throughout the lyrics, where she did the right thing and the person that hurt her did the wrong thing, and she gets the good in the end, while the person who hurt her is going to get the bad in the end. And you'll notice that the scales in this video are not balanced. She's also representing the goddess Themis
Themis.
or Justia, which are both
Yeah,
goddesses of justice. I'm sorry.
yeah. Oh no, you're saying I was gonna say like you're not gonna make me say that. I already said I was gonna go with Themis. So it's Themis. It's Themis in Greek in Justia, basically Lady Justice in for the Romans. You know,
Right.
obviously same goddess, two different names for her. And I mean, I'm
Absolutely.
obviously not subtle here, but yeah, I think you're correct. Where it's like if you think about it, like Calvin enlightened me to the idea of the karmic theme. So it starts off, you have somebody with scales. This is going to be like, it's going to be justice. You know, like you
Right.
have the swing. Obviously, one hand goes up, that means the other one goes down.
Right. And then if I want to, if you don't mind me emphasizing, I'm sure I want to speculate here. Now, the duality part, good, evil, good, bad, as above, so below. You'll notice that that's not the moon behind her. That's the sun.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And
Mm-hmm.
some of us would understand Satan to be the light bearer.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right. All right. So notice that justice in the song in the hook, what does she say that karma is? She notates karma to be a god,
Yeah.
a god.
Karma's a god.
And so
Mm-hmm.
and so you're gonna notice in the next clip what happens. So this part right here, she's above, and then you'll see what happens in the next clip.
Now here's like I said, I just wanted to say one thing before we get into the breakdown. I talked a lot about the last Taylor Swift. Well, I guess it was her first video off this album, and it was the anti-hero video. And I broke it down, and a lot of people were saying,
Ooh,
"You're reaching, bro." And let's okay, tell me if I'm reaching now. It looks like she's in hell and she's dressed like the devil.
absolutely. You're not reaching, brother. People who say that, they just don't want to hear the truth. It's kind of like, the minute you like I won't go into politics. Let me say it like this. It's like when you're telling somebody the truth about something that sounds crazy, right? And what is the first thing they'll tell you? You're a conspiracy theorist,
Yeah, right. Yeah,
right?
you got a tinfoil hat.
That they'll throw something that discredits what you're saying. They can't prove that you're not telling the truth. I mean,
Well, they
That
can't.
video is
They can't argue because obviously, for one, they haven't looked into it, and for
right.
two, it's like they don't really have an argument. It's just like they'd rather just discredit you.
Absolutely. And what happens next, right? You're eligible to, she continues doing it. Like that video breakdown was crazy. It threw me off and actually creeped me out to like the biggest core, brother. I did not ever suspect Taylor Swift.
I
Not
think
gonna
that
lie.
I think that that is why she's being used the way she is because
Mm-hmm.
like talk about once again this is like a Trojan horse is that pop, little country girl turns into bubblegum pop and now she's like full on showing the witchcraft here.
Right.
Like obviously this is not subtle what we're seeing. It's like, and again it's steeped in occultism where like they literally, like I said, what you didn't see from my stills are that they literally flip the thing upside down where it's like as above so below and they're literally on the upside down over here like a la Stranger Things.
Right. And you know what's crazy is that that it's fluid throughout the music genre. I
Mm-hmm,
mean,
mm-hmm.
like you'll see these kids, you know, coming into the industry, and then you'll start seeing them like perpetrate these symbolisms and it's these symbols, and they don't have to say anything. They like in a song when you read the song about Karma, you kind of pick up this idea that she's hurt by some boy. But at the end of the day, when you watch the music video, because this is a remix, by the way,
Mm-hmm.
this is a remix. What you start noticing is the symbolism, and symbols say if pictures are known for 1,000 words, then symbols say a million. Symbols write a book, and her symbolizing herself as Satan in this picture, surrounded by a bunch of demons in hell, is saying a lot about what she's pushing and what she stands behind. This is not art. This is not art. This is a message.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that that's again like you go into like the portal and the butterfly thing where it's like you can imagine, like I said, you could just imagine that's how the devil would use somebody, where it's like you take this innocent person and everyone who's with her is kind of innocent along the way, and then as she
Mm-hmm.
starts to change, she's changing them too. Like the
That's
devil
right.
is using that, and now it's kind of just like it would have been crazy one before to say that Taylor Swift's songs were satanic, but I mean like but yeah, here we are. Like, I mean, not I guess
Absolutely.
as any like I said, now I'll give you guys the opportunity to say I'm reaching, bro. It's just a mask. It's not really the devil. It's and plus it's more like the Baphomet. It's not like like necessarily like the devil, main devil. It's might just one of them.
Right. Right. And I want to double down. Can you go back to the clip earlier when she's Justia or Themis? All
Yeah,
right. Oh, go back one more clip, brother. All right. I want to point out what I said about this being Luciferian. The sun in the background. If you go watch the Weeknd's video, what is it called? Sacrifice. You're going to see the same, and I mean verbatim, except switch out the people. You're going to see the same aim. You're going to see a bright light. The rays come over the light, and what is it called? The Weeknd is being escorted into this specific room at that
mm-hmm.
point. But you're going to see the same image in the music video, Sacrifice. And so we're not making this up. This is stuff that you can go get the receipts and go look at it. But
Mm-hmm.
again, I back what I'm saying when I say that is a representation of the sun or a light bearer holding a light, putting its wisdom
Right. So
down.
it's yeah. So obviously makes
To
sense
who?
too. So when they flip the thing upside down, you go right from the light and you go right down to hell,
Darkness.
like literally hell. And she takes the mask off, and we look at her, and it's like, look at it. This is Taylor Swift. I mean, just take a good look at like what she looks like right now. I mean,
Absolutely.
it's like, I mean, you're like, she's wearing all black, and I know there's some symbolism with the stars on her belt, and obviously
Right.
probably every bit of this stuff. And Calvin, you were mentioning earlier about just the hand sign she's doing right here.
Right. Absolutely. And a lot of people um may be curious about this stuff and call it an expression. But if artists are expressing themselves, then what are they expressing? Now, again, I can't tell you that Taylor Swift is satanic, but I can point out that a lot of the stuff that she's putting out there is. And Satanism doesn't require Satan in the background dancing. It just
Mhm.
requires symbolism. It we're becoming I shouldn't say we, but people are becoming desensitized
Well,
to
I think we all are
dogmas.
becoming desensitized to it because it's like because even us, it's like now it's like you see it and sometimes I feel like I'm rarely shocked and then occasionally I am. But
Right.
I do think at the very least it's like it's satanic because obviously it's normalizing this.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because it's like obviously you could say, oh, she's just playing a role. It's like, well, why why though? Like, but why this but why you could show her being a more negative character, but why would it have to be the devil in hell
Right.
with surrounded by demons?
Right. And another person who's been accused, JT, of witchcraft, and actually she outright said that she tried to put a hex on Donald Trump, and that's Lana Del Rey.
Huh.
And even though her thumb is in on a picture, if you Google or look up the Lana Del Rey witch, you'll see her kind of doing the same hand sign. Again, her thumb is in versus what Taylor Swift has, but you'll see that they're doing the same hand sign in this actual video.
Yeah,
And again, sorry.
no, you're right. I think the one thing you called it correctly is that that you could probably look around this video and they're all making hands for some reason. Like specifically her, they're obviously because she's not doing a thing other than just posing. So
Right,
that obviously has a meaning. And if you look into like Freemasonry hand signs, obviously there's a whole book of them. So that
right.
means something.
Well, one second here, bro. I got something for you. Give me a second here. Um, in witchcraft, and again, I'm not a witch expert. I just kind of read some occultic literature, and I've learned that these hand signs are important. And I don't know if you've seen I know you have, brother, but I'm talking to the audience. If you've seen Doctor Strange, you'll notice that Doctor Strange does a lot of mudras. And,
Mm,
and in the mudras, he would do his hand, and then a symbol will appear. A lot of people
yeah.
don't realize that these hand symbol signs are creating symbols mid-air, even though we can't see the flashing fiery symbol that we see in Doctor Strange. To the people in the occultic world who have any kind of that kind of knowledge, who are perpetrating this stuff in actual music videos, they are doing something a little bit deeper than what meets our physical eye.
Well, right. And it's interesting when you actually like really figure out what like the people who claim to do magic, what it actually is. And I'm not talking about David Copperfield. I mean, I think what a lot of people think is like it's like illusionists. But like
Right.
what magic, according to the people who do the magic, is literally just changing your consciousness. Like I said, so they're doing magic on you by normalizing this. So they change your
Absolutely.
opinion on it. It's like all of a sudden, oh well, it's not really, this stuff is not that bad because it's Taylor Swift doing it. Well, then magic just worked on you. And so like obviously this is part and parcel of all the things they do, that when you realize this video is put together in a very specific manner, and as a without knowing the exact message, we do know it's a message to influence you, and that's a doubt, without a doubt.
Absolutely. And I would even go a little bit further for the critics. I invite you to look at the work and look at what's being said. Look at the idea of what mudras are. Are these hand symbols that you're seeing in these videos, are these intentional, or just, you know, someone just doing hand placement? Like, why
Mm-hmm.
are these so specific? That's the thing that always throws me for the loop, is you can't say that everything in these videos is just accident, that these people are freehanding this. They're spending millions of dollars, hundreds of
Yeah,
thousands of dollars, millions of dollars for these videos that go on a play. You can't say that nothing in here, everything in here is by accident.
yeah.
There's something in here is intentional.
Just think about it like when you go get like a family photo done and you go in, like you ever work with like a real photographer and they're like, now put your hand here, now do this, and it's like because they want it to look a certain way. Obviously they know what they're trying to get across, and it's like, yeah, when you realize they got the costume designers, the set designers, the directors, the
Right.
writers, the light, the people who work the lights, all the different factors that go into this, and it's like they're is not one thing in this video that wasn't put in a specific place so they could show it in a certain light.
Absolutely, absolutely. And the last thing I'll say, surrounding around Mudra's brother, is I think it's important for people to understand what the word mudra actually means. Hasta mudras is literally meaning seals, stamps, or gestures. Are sacred hand movements that have been used for thousands of years in many different traditions as a way of deepening one's practice and awakening the power of the divine. This is not information that we're just coming up with and making up in the esoteric world. And this is more or less religious. It is a mudra is a seal. It is a stamp or a gesture that is designed on purpose to wake up the divine, whether the divine is in yourself or in someone else, or more importantly, the spiritual world. And so again, if in these music videos you're seeing these things that are intentionally there, that were paid to be there, these are paid people who are being paid to do this work. What you are experiencing, maybe with even out knowing, is something that is is something that is beyond your control, and they're doing it in front of you, knowing you do not know what it is.
Absolutely. Okay, let's click to the next slide over here. So this is, we're leaving Sheol Hades and we're going back to the upright. We're leaving the upside down, we're going upright, and now we have the yellow brick road. We have Dorothy from The Wizard of Oz. Bryan, what the heck are we looking at?
Yeah, so when it comes to Project Monarch, I know you guys were mentioning that there's forms of mind control that they utilize on satanic cult victims, and The Wizard of Oz is actually used over and over. In fact, I prayed for someone that went into an insane asylum, and they played this movie, The Wizard of Oz, like over and over, and the person was like, it was so creepy. Like, they weren't actually, like, they got admitted for something else, but when they were there, they were like, it was like they were intentionally trying to make the people even more crazy. There's like innuendos and like,
that literally sounds like that movie Clockwork Orange, where it's like that guy was obviously don't watch that movie if you guys haven't seen it, because there's nothing redeeming about it. But like in the movie, it was like this guy was horrible. They send him some kind of re-education thing to get him, like, because he was so awful. But they obviously taped his eyelids open, and like they're putting drops in his eyes and just making him watch the sickest stuff. And it's like, I mean, making somebody watch The Wizard of Oz on repeat does sound like you're trying to break someone.
That's
Absolutely.
what they, and oh yeah, and that's part of the practice in satanic occult. Like it's satanic abuse is what it is, ritual abuse, satanic ritual abuse, SRA is what they call it. And in SRA, you know, them doing that type of stuff, like they actually have a plethora of movies that they play, but The Wizard of Oz is like one of them, and there's like hidden like innuendos and things in it that are like specifically placed in the Wizard of Oz movie to create reactions. They specifically put things in to create responses and reactions and to brainwash you. And Wizard of Oz 2, I don't know if you guys have seen that, Return to Oz, but it is it straight up like shows you what Wizard of Oz was actually intended for. And it's very disturbing. She's like basically getting electroshock therapy, and they're like electrifying her brain. Like Return to Oz is a very like, it's all, there is a whole plethora of movies that they use for this type of abuse and things that they do, and it's very obvious that she's paying homage to it.
You know, it's interesting too when you think about like how The Wizard of Oz starts. It's like, so she's having this horrible thing with like you know, like the witch character wants her dog. She's having like I can't remember. Oh, was it her grandma or somebody's gonna die, or mom's sick or something? And then but when it starts off with like the swirl, right? So you have a tornado. So it's the tornado that takes her, you know, to,
well, it's an alternate reality is what it is. It tries to program your mind that there is an alternate reality that they want to get you into.
But this
and that alternate reality.
Right, but this video starts off with the swirl. You know, it's not quite a tornado, but it's like, it gets you there. And obviously we get into talk about like we get into Wonderland or whatever, Oz, whatever this place is.
Right.
Yep.
But okay, I'm gonna go to the next frame because I think we've seen. And so look, oh, she's waving at three hooded characters, and they're waving back with one finger.
Wait, should we mention the reverse yet or no? No, we'll get to that later.
No, yeah, we'll talk
Okay,
about.
we'll get.
Oh
to...
yeah. Oh, actually,
okay.
I should probably just say, hey guys, this is Bryan. My friend Demon Racers has joined us. He was casting out. He was like literally
What's
casting
up?
out demons as we were talking about them.
Spray. I was spraying for someone they were throwing up, like literally not even like 10 minutes ago.
Yeah.
That is insane.
And the dude got healed. He got miraculously healed. We prayed, and he threw up, and boom, his back pain that he's had for years gone instantly.
Absolutely.
Praise God. Well, there we go. Like I said, obviously, this guy. We're talking about demons. Bryan's casting them out, and as we start talking about the demons, so we have Dorothy is walking down the yellow brick road, and then she watches over here, and well, I'll fast forward real quick. Look, you have this. Once again, you have this duality scene of this, obviously the light and then the dark. You have life and you have death over here. And you literally have three hooded Grim Reapers all giving her the middle finger.
Can we highlight that
it's like as above, so below.
Can we highlight that the tree is in the middle?
Okay.
And the Genesis, when you get
Ooh, yeah.
In the book of Genesis, God put two trees in the middle of the garden. He put the tree of life and the tree of death in the middle.
The tree of knowledge, yeah.
The tree of knowledge of good and evil.
Yeah.
Well, that's the tree of knowledge of good and evil. That's good and evil is what it's representing there, kind of. It seems like.
So Bryan, I had a theory on the three middle fingers, the three cloaks, the three hooded figures here. So we should set this up is that Taylor Swift just had a birthday in December, and she turned what number?
33.
33. So you have three hooded characters, three Grim Reapers with three fingers. Is that possibly, because we were trying to figure out what the three had to do with it? Is it possible that we have a 3 and then a 3, and then we're here?
That could be it. And I liked your other theory was making this a mockery of God, and that rather than one Grim Reaper, there was the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit mocking.
Yeah, I mean it could
the
be
images of God.
It could be. Typically, they don't go at God like that, but I mean, like they kind of just show him as like one angry guy, or they just mock Jesus. But yeah, like I mean, I don't think anything's off the table in this video.
Yeah, I couldn't find anything in that nature. The only thing I could really pick up was the tarot card meaning for it, which kind of still emphasizes on the theme of the video, and that was the give me 1 second here. Upright, the end of a cycle, beginnings, change, metamorphosis, reversed fear of change, holding on, stagnation, and decay, which is the tarot card meaning for death. And so you'll see that theme throughout the video, that she's elevating herself and making a change. And that wave from her, in my eyes, is like mockery to death. Death, that she was in hell at one point in time. And a few clips before this one, she was in hell. And then, here she's skipping along on the gold path, and you got these three deaths pointing the middle finger at her. In my opinion, signifying that she overcame death.
And I think I had this slide. I think I had this slide up. This might have came after the birds. I think what she was saying, it wasn't the line in the song was that, did I keep my side of the street clean?
Yeah, it's you wouldn't know what I mean.
Yeah, and so she's like basically saying like she's waving and smiling at death. Like obviously again, she's on the light path. She's doing good, and she's not going to let death bring her down. And even though death's got the middle finger at her.
Yeah, there's two things there that I would notice is that they're wearing red occult cloaks, obviously, and they're not wearing the traditional black that you see on
good.
them.
Good call.
So it is kind of a cult, obviously, theme to some degree. And then also when she says, I keep my side of the street clean, what I would recognize is that people that believe in Satanism or Hermeticism, I think it is. I forget.
Mm-hmm.
But they believe in no karmic retribution. Karmic retribution. Have you heard that word before?
Yeah.
It basically means like, because I said this, I can do it. So because, like, if I was to say, hey, I've got, this poison pie for sale, and I say it's pie, but it's poison, and I write it really small, right? And then, I give you this pie, and you eat it, and then you die from it. I'm like, well, it's your fault. I told you it was poison.
Yeah.
I just wrote it really small, but I told you. And so it's no longer my fault. I'm not responsible for the death, and that's the karmic retribution thing. And I think who's that guy that gets canceled? He talks about that. Dude, that famous dude that got arrested and canceled. He mentions this karmic retribution thing as well. But yeah. Anyway, so that's kind of what it seems like with this part right here.
Yeah. Also, I could just even say, like, just the three could also just be the fact that you got 3 reapers, 3 middle fingers, you got 3 sickles, 369. We all know that there's the cult power of the 369, so that it could be as simple as that. So anyways, we go into the duality, and then I didn't quite get this, but I noticed, so Taylor Swift has had a theme with this, and I mentioned this before, where there's this purple haze. So her last video was called Lavender Haze. The anti-hero video had like purple around the eyes, this purple eyeshadow. And it's like, so she blows this purple dust, and then the purple dust morphs into like an hourglass where she is, in different parts of it. She's on the top, and as above, so below.
Yep, more of
it's
that.
Like, to me, there's obviously some kind of spiritual meaning to like this purple haze, this dust, where it's almost like, and the anti-hero, it's clearly demonic, and like in the Lavender Haze, where it really is like you're this spiritual, seeing stuff that other people don't, I guess.
Right. I would like to note, if you'll notice, the top of the hourglass is losing time, while the bottom half is gaining time.
That's interesting. That's a good catch.
Yeah.
She's showering in it in the process.
Yeah, she's showering in the time being regained in her life. Very interesting. It kind of recalls, gives me those feelings of what's that? The Xena.
Okay, Xena warrior princess.
No. Xena, the daughter of what's his name? The Satanist guy.
Anton LaVey.
Anton LaVey.
I think we mentioned. I can't remember if we mentioned this before we were talking about, but we were saying like that it is interesting that like that there's people who have alleged that Taylor Swift literally is the daughter of Anton LaVey because they resemble each other so much. Yeah. Obviously, when they're showing her when she's like literally taking the Baphomet mask off, and when she's got that dark lipstick, the pale skin, the way her hair looks, she looks eerily similar, like very creepy.
Yeah, it is crazy.
Yeah, it's like well, one of our crazy discussed theories that we were talking about was like maybe these people maybe that really is Xena, and maybe she's like somehow age regressing herself, and this is like an example of her age regression in some way, or so, who knows.
I was talking with Calvin. I was saying like that I'm not. I always go for the Occam's razor of the simplest explanation, where it's like find out these people are related to each. Like there's so many people that are actually related through bloodlines, and it's like, is it possible she looks like her because like literally she's related? She's related to her. She's like a cousin.
Probably is related. All these people are related.
Does anybody else have anything to say about the hourglass? As I'm gonna flip to it because it's obviously it's going to flip itself.
No, you mentioned the as above, so below as well in the beginning of the video when it flipped upside down.
There's a constant theme in this video.
Yeah, constant. But yeah, that's next. Let's go.
Okay, so, but look, it's interesting. So what I noticed here was like, so hourglass obviously associated with time very clearly,
right?
And then so it flips up like to her face, and now the hourglass resembles an infinity symbol. I believe it's also it's almost like the time is infinite now in her face. And this is one of the more bizarre images where I was trying to like find out.
Wait, go back to the infinity one because I've got more.
Okay, you got
It's
some.
also the magician symbol in tarot cards. Look at this. This is the
Oh, there you
magician.
go. Now
Do you see the as above, so below?
Whoa.
And you see the infinity symbol that is right above his eyes. So the magician symbol, and he's got the two candles of life and death, which is also the symbol there.
What is he? What does he have under the table? What am I looking at under the table?
Let me see. It's just a pentagram, and a chalice.
Oh,
there's
nothing under. There's not a cat under there, is there?
No, there's a knife and some flowers, and that's just the candle that burns on both ends, which represents like the life and death candle in witchcraft that they do. And so that's the magician symbol. So that she's literally saying she's the magician.
Oh,
and then I don't know if you.
Okay, you go finish what you're saying.
Oh no, and I don't. Well, you go. I'll
well, what I was thinking was it like is that like so what the magician does is she took the hourglass and she manipulated into infinity.
Yep.
Through the magic, like you know what I mean. It's like time is not. I can manipulate time now. I've got all the time.
Exactly. And I don't know if you mentioned it, but like when you guys earlier when she was showing the justice and did the as above so below with her hands, when she was being Lady Justice, that was also I forget the Greek god's name for it.
Themis.
Like
Themis.
Yes, Themis. Okay. And in that she's actually the wife, the second wife of Zeus. I don't know if you guys know that, but Zeus is
I did not.
Yeah, she's the second. Themis is the second wife of Zeus, and you'll see her on everything in American culture. You'll see her all over the place. Like she is, like essentially on all of the buildings that we have above the United States. You see her there, and she is the wife of Zeus. And George Washington, obviously, I have that video that explains is pretty much Zeus. So
yeah, it's interesting too because like the lyric once again Calvin mentioned is that. The karma is a god. Karma is my boyfriend.
Yeah.
Like,
yes.
It's like Satan is my boyfriend over there. Themis.
Yep. And another thing is, what?
No, that was absolutely weirdest things. But gentlemen, I am so glad to have met you, Bryan and JT. I got a dip. But I appreciate
it's like tagging in, tagging out.
Okay.
All right, bro. All right.
So the other thing I'll tell you is that not only is it I couldn't find a meaning for the cat, but I will tell you that the with her boyfriend or karma is my boyfriend statement, she is declaring like relation, and the beginning lyrics of that song are not listed in before she says that opening line. They're not listed in her lyrics. That opening line.
Well, we said this was interesting is when you mentioned like lyrics that are not there or lyrics that should be there. We looked up the lyrics to this song, and this would probably be a good time to talk about this. Is that there's this verse in this song, and I actually can flip down to the slide of it where it mentions that here's this total verse, Spider Boy, King of so obviously this song is basically about some guy did her dirty, and obviously she's not letting it. He put her through hell. She was down in hell, but obviously she's on the come up. She's slay queen. And so it says, Spider Boy, King of Thieves, weave your little webs of opacity,
meaning like invisible webs, like invisible webs that reach out.
My pennies make your crown. Trick me once, trick me twice. Don't you know the cash ain't the only price? It's coming back around. And so what I found interesting,
ain't the only price.
What I found interesting is that the Taylor Swift, she's had some boyfriends. She's had some like obviously high profile boyfriends. So I thought, who's Spider Boy? Well, who's the King of Thieves? And I started to do a little research, and it's like, well, you have Jake Gyllenhaal was actually in Spider-Man. He wasn't Spider-Man, but he was Mysterio in Spider-Man. But he was also in the Prince of Persia, and the Prince of Persia was literally a thief. He was like actually
he's the King of Thieves.
Yeah, in the movie, he was like in the Babylonian Guild of Thieves. So like that's literally his character. And so what Calvin pointed out, and I thought this is obviously it seems pretty clear at this point that this song is older. Like it was like in 2010 was when they dated, was when he played Prince of Persia. So like, is this song about old Jake? And maybe that's why
Well, probably.
maybe that's why they took it out of the song for like the new video.
Yeah, that
Pretty
part.
interesting.
Yeah, that part. They were like, okay, well, that little verse was dedicated to Jake, but we don't matter about him anymore.
Yeah.
We're more worried about cursing the rest of the world.
Zeus is my boyfriend now.
Yes, dude. Yeah, exactly, right. I don't know the cat. What'd you get with the cat, man?
Well,
I've tried to find something.
I looked a little bit about the cat and the moon, like an esoteric meaning. I think I think that there is. I think what you can find quite often is like the crescent moon with the cat sitting on top of it. Obviously, I think you can at least there's obviously all kinds of witchy vibes with like the moon and cats. So it's like I think that it put it this way this doesn't really look like that to me. But once again, we're not 33rd degree Masons, so we only know parts of this.
Yeah, exactly. For
okay,
sure.
well,
okay, let's go to the next one.
Okay, we'll go to the next one, and we have I think he was saying Ice Spice is what her name is. I probably should have.
Yes, yeah.
And so what we see here is once again we have as above, so below, which is the reflection. We see her, all dolled up with a pearl in a clamshell.
Who else is the plural in the clamshell? What god?
Well, Calvin, when I was talking to him before, he mentioned Aphrodite, but once again, I think you have different meanings for like different names for the same god. When I did my research, I saw there's a very famous like painting, and I'm sure whether you think you've seen it or you haven't seen it, you've seen this painting of Venus, like kind of like with her hair like covering stuff, and it's like she's standing a certain way, and she's standing on top of a clamshell. So Venus, the brightest star in the sky, obviously the pearl, like obviously I think that's symbolic of that what that is, and Calvin actually mentioned that it was also Aphrodite, which I think is once again
they're the same. Yeah, they're the same thing, and so it's all the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the famous Venus one. I don't know if we don't show that one because there's partial nudity in there.
Yeah, you guys, this is a Christian YouTube video.
Okay, let's see what's the next one.
Okay, we can go right into that because that's okay. Here's when we get into if you guys weren't sure this was a Freemasonry video, we'll go to the next slide. So now
pyramids. So of course.
So it's interesting. So we have Taylor Swift walking up one side, and we have Venus Aphrodite walking up the other side. And but obviously obviously one of the things that you can't help but notice is the step pyramid. There's a famous Freemasonry vision, like basically depiction of like the pecking order of like climbing the ladder. But what I also can't help but just notice is I'm going to send my throne into the heavens. It's like obviously it's above the clouds. It's like, are we talking like Tower of Babel, Nimrod over here?
Yep, absolutely. That's because pyramids are towers of Babel. People don't seem to recognize that always, but that's what a pyramid. That's what the dollar bill pyramid on your dollar bill is. It's Tower of Babel. It's the unfinished pyramid the top was removed. That's the top that's removed. Again, that's the unfinished Tower of Babel right there, and they're ascending to the top of the pyramid in a sense, like to complete it. And that's why all the famous people all do the little this thing. They're saying I'm the completion.
This is the capstone. I am the capstone.
I am the capstone to the top of the Tower of Babel that's incomplete. Like that's what they're saying essentially. Like that's what it is.
It's what I've said, and I think you're on the same page with me, is like what I think whether the pyramids were some kind of an ancient power source, whatever they might be. What I think is probably there's multiple meanings of these things. I don't think that they were tombs. What I think that they are is like it's a man-made mountain. So obviously mountains are associated with gods, and it's like man made himself a pyramid that he's going to be at the top of. And now all of a sudden, this is declaring yourself a god on top of your own mountain.
Yep. And it's also a point of human sacrifice. So actually climbing the mountain actually declares that there's been some type of, like, they sacrificed people at the pyramids always. Like that's what they were used for. So yeah, definitely homage to human sacrifice for sure.
Okay, what do we got next here? Okay, so this is them taking out different. They're almost like Wonder Woman, the lasso, and of course we have two major occult symbols.
There we go.
We have Taylor, lassoing the moon, and we have Aphrodite Venus lassoing Saturn. And once again, it's interesting to go back to the hourglass, the infinity. What Saturn's name was to the Greeks would be Kronos, and Kronos is often like depicted as like literally looks like Father Time. So we already had Grim Reapers. Kronos has a sickle. The Reapers had a sickle. We have infinity, time, Kronos. It's interesting that the interesting part is that Taylor is not lassoing Saturn. It's this other character. And I think that it's different kind of energy, which is typically, like I would say, the moon is feminine energy. And then I think Saturn would typically be more of the masculine, I would have thought, but
who knows at these day and age.
but once again, I'm not, like I said, I'm not in the club, so I'm not privy to all the information about this.
Yeah. So it's pretty obvious there with all that, though. It's definitely something esoteric about the moon worship and Saturn worship.
Yeah. Do you have anything? Do you have anything to add to that?
I got nothing else.
Okay, so here we got. So then we have her. This is interesting. So this might be the place where you might want to speculate, Bryan. And I'll let you speculate as wildly as you want to. Is that we just talked about that Taylor Swift resembles this certain Satanist daughter, and some people have said it's a clone. Well, guess what? Now we have 5 Taylor Swifts. So remember when I said I don't believe in that kind of stuff? Well, I'm gonna say there's a chance, because what do you think about this?
I don't think the thing is, I worked with a geneticist, so I'm not a whole privy to the perspective of clones. I'm not I don't know if it's likely that there's clones, but I do know that there is anti-aging stuff. That's what I'm like, that's interesting. But yeah, this is definitely an homage to the light bearer, who we would call is Lucifer, obviously, with the lights. And I didn't see anything particular with the 5 Taylor Swift clones, but
what's interesting too is to go back to Zeus. So what we have is Zeus associated with lightning, electric. What's interesting, in the Bible calls Satan the prince of the power of the air. I've seen multiple times on occult buildings that just happen to be literally electrical buildings, power buildings.
Yeah.
And then it's she's got this energy, it's she's got this, she's got the light. But again, once again, she's kind of pulling, it's which is interesting. Once again, what's kind of interesting is if she's shown to be the light path, but then she's associated with the moon. So I don't know, but I mean, obviously she's she's depicted in the light, other than the fact that she was in hell at the beginning of the video.
Yeah, I mean, it is also, it's called airwaves, the prince and the power of the air, right? And so then we have airwaves, which is what just basically Satan waves. Yeah. The other thing is that it's interesting is that the light is basically here's a weird thing. I question electricity in general. That electricity was technology possibly given to us by fallen angels. So her even holding the power of electricity in and of itself may be something to do with demonic stuff. I will tell you, from my personal perspective of dealing with trying to record demons and exorcism and stuff, the footage and the cameras freak out when you pray for demons, and there's something with electricity that doesn't quite work. And I always see people that are ghost hunting, they're trying to capture stuff, and I'm like, dude, that's never gonna work. Dude, I've literally had a camera fail while recording because we started praying for a demon. The minute the demon talked, the camera cut out, and then when the person went back to normal, it was normal. And then the minute they talked, the camera just cut out. And I've never seen a camera just stop. It just record black nothingness. Well, so I don't know.
Well, that's interesting, because I know we talked about Stranger Things a little bit, and that is to a T how Stranger Things presents things, where it's when the demon shows up, we're actually, even when the upside down starts to connect with the right side up, the lights do weird things. Because even when it wasn't like the Demogorgon in Stranger Things, I think at one point they like go searching for the kid, and it's like the mom and the cop character, and the lights just start kind of blinking as they start walking past them. But what I actually could believe it could mean as well is like, once again, she walked up to the top of the pyramid, right? And then she's lassoing these basically these celestial objects, beings, gods, as people would probably perceive them. And now she's got the power of electricity, where, and obviously back in the day, who has the power of the thunderbolts? Once again, it's Zeus. It's a sky god. I mean, like literally our god has the power of like lightning. So like even it's interesting. Have you ever heard like the rappers say, "I'm gonna make it rain," and they're throwing money down? I don't think people really understand what they mean when they're saying that, because it's like, who has the power to make it rain? God does. God does. So what they're really saying when they say, "I'm going to make it rain," they're saying, once again, these are the people that say they call themselves I am. They're saying they're God. Yep. That could obviously be what this could be as well.
Absolutely. All right, let's see what's next.
Okay, we got next is okay. So now we're morphing into, we have
Mother Nature is what that is. So
we have Taylor Swift down here, like laying as a mountain, and we have Venus, Aphrodite up there. So here we'll start with Taylor Swift right here.
Yeah, she's Mother Nature, obviously, right there, being in that kind of resemblance. She's also a mountain, which is also the rocks that was, there's like common association with mountains. And actually, I almost went, wait, that's not the mountain range that like Mount Hermon, is it? Is that like a depiction of Mount Hermon? Because that would be very fitting.
Well, Mount Hermon is, the way I've seen it, I don't know how it is different times of the year, but I know that mountain gets really cold at the top. So I think that would have been I think it would be more of a snow-capped mountain. But what I noticed specifically about the way she's presented, it's like the Disney movie Moana. So you have like basically your Gaia character, your Gaia goddess right there, where she's up. I think they call her Nefertiti. Like, I don't think what is it?
No, it's Gaia. It's Gaia, and they don't have it. I don't know if they have the name that represents it in the Roman pantheon. But
yeah, Gaia would be the goddess of the earth, and it's like, so that's very clearly
she birthed everything. She birthed Gaia, supposedly birthed all the gods, and then that was pretty much and that would be definitely another one of the gods of the air, which had another name, I forget.
And then we have Venus up here. It's obviously like the god of the sky, and it's kind of like the sky and the god. Obviously, the sky and the earth meet together, heaven and earth. It's like, once again, it's like typically there's not. I think Calvin mentioned a female goddess that was representative of the sky and like Egyptian, but I mean, typically I would think more of like Horus. Horus is a sky god. That's why there's two eyes. One of them's Ra. One of them I think is I'm sure if
Horus and Ra.
But I think Horus is representative of the sky, so both eyes are representative of, one of them is representative of the sun, one is representative of the moon. It's just interesting. It's like, obviously,
Definitely
they're non-binary, I guess, in this video. Let's just say that it's that typical gender roles here. Yeah. You got anything more to say about this one?
No.
Okay, so then we're gonna go.
I don't got really any much more until we play it backwards. Really.
So then we flip it upside down. Once again, the video is topsy turvy, as above, so below. They continue to go with that theme, and then we get into the boat ride over here. And so what I was noticing, once again, the theme of these gods, where it's like, who was
obviously
the one
the fairy.
Yeah, that was basically the ferry to where? To the afterlife. This was like representative of like Hades. Like literally, like Hades was the one they had to pay. Like, you ever seen like in those movies where they have to put coins on, the people, the dead's eyeballs, like in these ancient movies. Well, because you had to pay the ferry boat driver, basically. And so, like, obviously, once again, they're representative of, and again, you have the as above, so below, with, you can see the reflection. This is a constant theme in this video. And so obviously they're going into the afterlife, and then we go into a clock, and I think what this is representative of, obviously, it looks like it's 11:59 or whatever it is, because the album's called Midnights, and eventually, you know, the thing strikes 12 at the end.
Yeah,
And
it's
so
almost that's a little looming to the idea that maybe something's coming.
well, also Calvin did
Like
mention
it's the
that,
final hour.
that he was saying that 12, there was a karmic number of 12. So karma and 12 went together.
Oh,
I wish he would. I wish he
got
would have stayed on to give us that point. But he was saying he actually looked at it, and 12 was obviously some kind of magic and karma, which obviously
Okay.
we know that there's a lot of, you know, even in Christianity, obviously 12 is a big one. You have the 12 tribes, you got the 12 signs of the zodiac. There's a lot of things with 12. So yeah, but again, so
all right,
but
let's do
but
you got the backwards one.
So it's interesting that I called in the experts here, and I had Calvin, who's got a different method than me. I think maybe I might lean on my own understanding too much. I know I recognize things, so I'll just go look them up. But like Bryan had a method, and Calvin had a method. Calvin used to like to watch it on super slow motion, and Bryan said, "I'm going to listen to it backwards." And I was like, "Oh, I didn't even think about that." Well, it just so happens that there was actually something to that. Okay, let's see if I can find
Yeah, Lord, that's it.
so I said Bryan's got a method, and Bryan said, "Let me listen to it backwards." And then he calls me up and says, "Oh my goodness, guess what I heard when it was backwards."
Yeah. And now, mind you, I'm not one that's going to be like, I'm going to listen to everything backwards and try to find something. I don't always do that, but I will tell you at the beginning of this song, there's like a really weird thing she says that's not listed in the lyrics, and it's not on the lyrics. I'm like, and she says karma is a girl or something. It's like just really obscure. And so when I heard that, I was like, oh, this is something. She says something there. And so I played it backwards, and the whole song was pretty much gibberish until you get to the part where she goes into the upside down world, and then it all of a sudden the rest of the song basically says, you know, things. It basically says, starting from the Wizard of Oz component, she says, "Hail be to my Satan. We don't give a F. Hail be to Satan. Hail be to Satan." It literally says, "Hail to my Lucifer," and then "Hail to Valhalla," which is like the area of the dead. And so it's like, you know, they were on that boat faring, and at the very end it says, "Dear Lord, clear as day." It says, "Dear Lord, that be Moloch." Like literally, there she's at the end, at the very beginning phrase of that song in reverse says, "Dear Lord, that be Moloch," and she says it even with like an accent. It's like Moloch.
It's weird. I mean, it is weird. I guess a lot of people will say when you do that kind of thing, they'll never really believe it. Because I was even saying like Stairway to Heaven. If you guys don't believe that stuff, it's like it's too audible for too long for it to be a coincidence. And especially that song's demonic on the going front ways, just like this video is. So I mean, I think that let's say there's a circumstantial case that it was meant to be that way. Like I said, I heard a little bit of different thing than Bryan did, but I did hear "Hail Satan," and I thought I heard hail the music, but it did say it did sound like "Dear Lord" and Moloch. I mean, to me, like
at the end.
I mean, I guess when you get into it, we like a lot of people, I'm sure what you will say is, now how could they have done that? And I guess the point what I would say is they could not have done that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, like she could not have done that, like of her own, like skill with the music and manipulation.
It's probably not them doing it. That's the point. And it's like, and people are like, oh, they didn't write that secret. They probably didn't. They probably didn't even know that it was in there. Actually, it was probably something demonically inspired that was given to them, that they wrote the music, and then it just turned out that if you play it backwards, it happens to say this other spell that's being cast onto you, which is very telling, because I mean, even Michael Jackson talks about this. He talks about how, like, if he doesn't get a song, he would have to write the song as soon as he heard the song, because he knew that if he didn't get it, Prince would get the same song. And you're like, how would he get that? How would he get the song unless you're channeling? Yeah, exactly. Unless you're channeling something. He was talking about them channeling, hearing songs from the ether. Okay. And he knew that other people would get these songs. So they're obviously channeling these songs. A lot of songs in pop culture and throughout history that we've had music has been channeled music through something else from that they've pulled song. Or there's this thing called automatic writing, which is a satanic practice where people let their pen just go, and they basically channel entities to write for them. This is probably how some of the lyrics are probably even written by Taylor Swift. She probably did automatic writing, wrote this song, channeled some demons, wrote, and was like, oh, this sounds great. And so she's unaware. Like, you guys gotta understand, a lot of these people are involved in satanic occult practices. They're unaware. They're not even aware that they are involved in it. Well, they're oblivious to it.
They call it the muse. So it's like they're like literally they're a vessel for this other being, and it's like, and they allow themselves to be a vessel. That's I mean, that's obviously they give authority over to this being, because this being is going to give them, all the things she's got in this video. She's like got money, power, fame, everything. So what I found interesting, and I mentioned to Bryan, was that in the very first video off this album called Anti-Hero, there's a scene where, again, there's a purple imagery with a one eye. There's ghosts in her house. She's running from ghosts. All of a sudden, the doorbell rings. She goes to the door. It's her at the door. It's me. It's Taylor. And so she's there. And all of a sudden, this other Taylor comes in. She's her, but she's really not. She's like the crazy Taylor. She's doing shots. She was doing the devil horns when she was drinking. She was smashing her guitar. But at one point, and of course I made a point to say this, was that that one Taylor, the evil Taylor, is pointing to a chalkboard and say they'll all betray you. And so then the normal Taylor is sitting there with a pencil or a pen and writing it all down. And I was like, that is the demon, because like when the ghosts left and the Taylor Swift shows up, the ghosts are inside her now. So now she is possessed. So the Taylor Swift with the dictating is the one saying, write this song. That is her channeling the demon, giving her the song to write. And that's how it's possible that it makes sense with forwards and backwards. Because otherwise, I don't think humans are capable of doing that, making a pleasant beat and lyric that makes sense going backwards.
I mean, they could if they spent forever, but I just feel like it's just unlikely that they're doing it to write a song and then make sure that it says satanic lyrics backwards.
But also remember, it's like, just think about where this is. Like, I mean, again, like, are these coincidences? Look where it appears in the song. It's where it's where the magic portal is happening. It's where they're in, like, literally they're in the upside down in hell.
Well, they even show a record that was, again, paying homage to the fact of backmasking where it came from. It was when you played records backwards.
That's right.
It's like it starts off with a record.
I made a point to say, like, does people still I mean, I know hipsters listen to records. I mean, like, who else listens to records these days?
It's basically telling you, play it backwards and see what you hear. Like,
I mean, obviously, there's no debate that the video starts off with magic. I mean, butterflies, magic swirl, a portal. Like, obviously, you see it presented right there. It's like, what else are they trying to? They're obviously trying to do some magic on you. Like, I guess the real question you'd have to ask yourself is, if they could put lyrics backwards in the song, would they? They're already doing they're already admitting doing magic on you right there.
Right in front of your face.
They're trying to hypnotize you right at the beginning of this video.
Yeah. Yep. So funny. Well, that's just the world is blinded, and it says that their eyes will be blind to those that don't. see, right?
So,
You know.
so I guess we have to say, so as this is funny because this thing went way longer. When I edit it, we'll see what it comes out to be. But like, what would you take? What would your takeaway be? Because when I first asked you to do this, and you're like, oh, I don't know, and then you're like, oh gosh, I saw the video you you're like, you all of a sudden you're like, I got to do this. What do you think of like the Taylor Swifts of the world putting out a video just like this?
I mean, I think it's interesting because I have a lot of people that are always like, oh, what about rock music? Is that the devil? Is that the devil? It's evil. And they're always asking me questions like this. But the reality is, dude, Taylor Swift is just as evil as like any song that you're gonna hear that's like worship the devil. Yeah, like okay, it's literally, in fact, it's even probably more evil because it's deceitful and it's like weaseling its way into your children's lives and your lives, and you sing these songs and you come into agreement with these spells. They're literally spells, okay? And so like I mean, Taylor Swift is, I mean, like it's catchy music that people want to listen to over and over. And, you know, whether she's recognizing that she's being used by Satan and she knows full well and she's participating in rituals, or whether she's completely oblivious and just, you know, a bystander that's being taken advantage of for this purpose, it's still being used for maniacal purposes and casting spells of hate and anger and vengeance and revenge. And it's persuading our culture in this society. In fact, there was a paper done where they actually released the song, I think it was by the Police or something, or it was a song that was literally talked about like violence against the police, and violence against the police within like 3 months raised to like 300%. Okay, within like the first 3 months or month or something, it was ridiculous, and people were just blown away at that.
Yeah, I mean, it's undeniable that music has an effect on people. Undeniable. Like, yeah, there's no doubt that it makes you feel things. It makes you like get you pumped up, makes you sad, makes you think, makes you like really, you know, it could do all kinds of things. It can make you feel happy. So like there is an effect on there. And obviously I think that there is part of your brain or spirit that is like open to messages. And I think that's obviously why they do it. Now, what I find the most interesting is the reactions we get when we do a video like this. Cause I know there's going to be like, you're reaching, bro. Well, isn't it always interesting that like that I break down the anti-hero video and people are saying I'm reaching because it's very subtle. And it's like, so when it's subtle, I'm reaching. But when Taylor Swift is literally wearing a mask in hell, you know, playing basically like ruling hell like the devil. And what people would probably say then is like, oh, she's just doing it for shock value, or she's just doing it for effect, where it's like, you really have to ask yourself, what would it take? Because if she comes right out and says tomorrow, I worship the devil, first of all, like the first honest thing she's done in a while. But people would say, well, what did she think? What did she really mean by that? You know,
because, yeah, people would even question that.
Because people won't believe it. And I think more than anything, when you do realize they tell us all the time, like what they believe. And it's like, people don't believe them. People, you know, don't, you know, it's like, obviously like,
they think they're joking.
Yeah. Right. It's like, it's art. And what I found like one of the most fascinating things was when that Maria Abramovich, obviously completely wicked woman, working with Lady Gaga, like witch, Satanist, witch. And what she was saying was that these things they did, it's like the context matters. She basically says like, if you're doing it in a performance, like if you're doing it in an art gallery, it's art. But he says if you do it in your home, it's not actually art, because the venue really matters. And she was actually saying like, if you do it in a concert, it's not really art. I mean, so obviously like this is what they're saying. Like, it's actually not art. It's more like the art. It's the craft. It's literally,
well, it's arts and crafts. People.
Yeah. It's literally the magician.
It's witchcraft.
Witchcraft.
Exactly. It's art. It's magic arts and witchcraft. That's what it is. But they shorten it and they tell you it's arts and crafts. No, it's magic arts.
Even that kind of famous movie, they just called it what they call it, The Craft.
Yeah, that's literally what it is. It's craft. It's witchcraft. Where the root word of witchcraft means to bend to your will. So it's literally the root meaning of witchcraft. So anything that is not God's will is the will of your own that you are bending to your will. So that's why it's called crafting. You craft, you bend something, you make it into the thing that you want, you shape it. That's what crafting is. You create something into your desire, your will. So
Yeah,
witchcraft is the same thing. It's like
and it was
switchcraft.
And then she's like, and then she's bending it up and down. She's bending time to infinity.
Yeah.
It's like bending all these wheels. She's obviously elevating herself to be a god on several occasions in this video. And I'm just going to close with this. And karma is not a god.
Yes.
Jesus is God. Jesus is the truth. The truth is our God. You like the truth is where we need to be. And it's like that this is lies. I mean, everything you say in here was one big lie. Now, what's exact meaning of this lie? I mean, the thing is they're trying to manipulate you, but know this, that if Bryan and I were just really reaching, how we have so many examples of this stuff. Obviously, these are not there's nothing. Talk about there's nothing new under the sun. You didn't see one new thing in this video. You know, you saw a lot of old stuff, and it's like you saw one big old lie that you can be as gods. No, you cannot. You know, you can be with God if you accept Jesus, but that's the end of that story.
Yep, that's it. That's it.
All right. Well, anyways, this is fun. If you guys enjoyed this breakdown, hopefully we'll get the guys lined up better, where our schedules work better. But if you guys enjoyed this, let us know in the comments if there's any other videos you'd like us to go after. I think we're going to try to do this more regularly. So hopefully you do like it, because I've already said we're going to do it anyways.
Sweet.
But anyways, guys, we love you guys. God bless you all.